Coach, it seems like every week y'all are facing a heck of a running game, heck of an offense. So, what do you see from Cincinnati?
Well, they're playing some really good football right now, and you're right. They're a good football team, and every bit of worthy of being in the top 10, maybe even top 5. Is I'm sure some people would put them in there, and arguably so. And the quarterback is playing really well. Last few weeks, I know he maybe got off to a little rough start there against South Florida, but as of late, he's really turning it on. And to me, he's been the difference in their offense. You know, the fact that he can hurt you with his legs, he can put the ball in the air, put it in some good spots. And then, if it's not there when he drops back to pass, he takes off, and he's a long kid that eats up some ground pretty quickly. And so that's part of the run game there. They got some little quarterback run game designed for him that he does a good job with. And then those two tailbacks back there, 24 and 23. 24 is the 23 is the bigger kid. Very similar to what we've seen the last 2 weeks. Get downhill on you, and the 24. The transfer kid has got really good feet and home run ability as well. And big old line, good receivers. So they're a solid football team and the best tight ends we've seen so far. So certainly a challenge. Certainly got work cut out for us. But kids are in a good spot. Kids are working hard and looking forward to the challenge.
You mentioned the tight ends. Looks like those two tight ends they use a lot and maybe different from other teams in this league. Can you expand on what type of challenge that is? I know they're big guys. They can split out. They did that a little bit last week as well.
Yeah, 81 is their second leading receiver on their football team. So that tells you what type of athlete he is and how much they trust him. They're an 11 personnel team, so they're always going to have at least one in the game. They'll go 12. At times they'll go 13 personnel, which what that means is, 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 13 personnel, 3 tight ends. And they've showed a formation or two where they go 4 tight ends in the game at one time. So that's something you don't see each and every week. So you certainly makes you put in maybe some different defenses to defend that and be prepared for that. They'll move those guys around a little bit, put them out wide, put them in tight, and use them as different places. So you don't know exactly what formation or what set you're always getting, and they do a good job with that. So they present some challenges, and they're all long and athletic and certainly stretch you vertically too.
Coach, how do you get pressure on the quarterback? I know their O-line play is really good. How do you break through there and give him fits?
Well, he's only been sacked 5 times. I think once each in the first game, twice against Memphis. Houston didn't get to him any, and neither did SMU. So, as Stephen pointed out, you've got to first of all stop the run. If you don't get them in a third and long situation, you can't really put your ears back, so to speak, and dial up the pressures to go get after him and get some pressures in. So that's where it starts with. And if you don't do that and you don't have the opportunity, and then when you get back there, you got to make sure you do a great job of tackling. He's a big guy, and we got to make sure we get our hands on him and get him on the ground. And then, as I spoke of, you got to make sure too that if he takes off, you got somebody accounting for him in the scramble game.
Blake, does that find you blitzing a little bit less, or can you do some trickeration on them in this kind of situation? Do you have to stay more in base, or what do you have to do?
Well, I think it just kind of, make sure you're sound in the run game, first of all, with your pressures. And you got to make sure that those pressures are able to attack their runs. And then once you get them into a situation where you think they're going to throw the football, you could maybe bring some more pass pressures. Just kind of change it up from snap to snap. Make sure you're sound against those things and make sure you're able to execute at a high level against what they do.
Last year's game against Cincinnati, ECU and Cincinnati, turned out to be a shootout, and obviously Cincinnati kind of took it there at the end. I'm just wondering, as a first-year coordinator, have you heard from other coaches of the players on the ECU side about that game, or have you just focused on this year's Cincinnati team and not drawn much on last year?
Well, you obviously go back and watch the film and see what we did well last year, take away from that and see where we maybe can improve from it. I remember watching that game last February when I first got here. We obviously went through and watched each game, each conference game, each opponent that we would play this year, and just saw, what our league had to offer. And Cincinnati was certainly a game that stood out to us at that time. And this past weekend, went back and watched that game again and just, saw some of the things that they did well and some of the things we can improve on. It is some of the similar kids, so I think that gives our players a little bit of confidence that they're going against, similar personnel from last year and had some success against them. defensively, we like to not make it a shootout. So now Coach Kirkpatrick probably thinks differently, but we'll try to see if we can keep a few points off the board there.
Coach, looking back at the Tulane game, what did you guys learn as a defensive staff coming out of that game? I know they were able to hit some big plays on.
You know, what I think is we just got to go out there, and what gives us a chance to play good defense and be the kind of program we want to be and be the kind of defense we want to be is just play as hard as we can play every snap. From the first play to last play, don't worry about the last plays. We always talk about each week is move on to the next snap, and then for that snap, just go as hard as you can go. And then focus in, locked in on that snap, and move on to the next snap. So that's been our big focus this week is take care of us and doing those things and make sure we're playing Pirate football in the way it should be played.
What sort of a leader has Warren been for the defense this year?
Warren Saban's done an awesome job just, being a leader in the back end back there, getting us set and getting us checked in the proper defenses and everything we need back there. And he's going back to his home state and super excited to be back up there where he's from. He's from the Cleveland area and being from Ohio. So he knows a lot of those guys on the Cincinnati roster, and he'll have some family and friends there. So hopefully he has a big week.